Die, Hillock!
Bye bye.
So you just make me go fly, maybe? I don't know. Hi, Zizaran here, and with the upcoming Gauntlet, I'm going to be making a few different videos. This is going to be a video particularly talking about Act 1 and 2 and go pretty in depth on that. That is the hardest part of the Gauntlet, and generally doing over 1 hour per act, even 2 or 3 if you're new, is not a bad idea in the Gauntlet if you really want to get to level 90. So, just to start, let's show the hardest thing. This isn't for my character, but this is just a generic thing, because a lot of people are going to want to play Spectral Shield Throw. It's going to be one of the most solid builds to hit level 90, and while very few people think that it's going to win the event, because it's very low damage for bosses, it is going to be like the best level 90 character, most likely, or one of at least, and especially for players that aren't trying to compete for prizes and just want to get high level, it's a really, really good thing for that. Hillock can be very, very hard on these builds. Same with Shadow. On Duelist, you can use the bleed a little bit to tease. So the Sand Spitters in the first area are incredibly dangerous. And remember, all of these mods are active here. You also maybe want to like take out like anything close by so that you aren't getting interrupted by killing him. And then you can kill Hillock like this on a Duelist. But I'll show you how I would normally do it on a Shadow anyway, which is basically you are making sure that you're always going counterclockwise. His attack animation hits a lot more often if you are going clockwise. And the bleed helps a lot here. So you can see this is basically the entire process. You just like run counterclockwise, make sure you hit after he's already hitting in the wrong direction. And again, for Duelist, you can just do this. He'll die very easily. So it's very, very easy. You just hit him, make him bleed. And then once he's bleeding, you just kite him around and he's basically dead. So, but even Hillock can very, very easily kill you in a Gauntlet scenario. So make sure it's very easy to get one hit by him. And that's the point that I really want to drive home in this video, that Act 1 and Act 2 is by far the hardest, and especially the first two zones. The further you get, it gets easier, and that's because of like the extra elemental damage mods and stuff like that, and the negative resist. So once you get res cap, it's actually fairly reasonable. Like mapping, especially blue maps, so like just transmitting them, pretty doable. So here we can look at the witch start, and it's very, very common to die here. I was actually testing to see, because normally on the last Gauntlet, the strategy would always be to just absolutely run through the entire coast, because the cannibals are so dangerous, and it's very easy to just have the three like cocktail thing that guy's holding right there just land on you and you're dead. So because of that, I'm always very hesitant of actually clearing the coast. And you can see here, I do end up dying in not too long here, but running through is still not a bad idea. It's just harder than before because of these little fuckers can very easily kill you, and I absolutely would recommend a logout macro for the Gauntlet. Obviously, this is like not regular gameplay. You're kind of screwed without it, but you know, it's up to yourself. But it's very easy once you encounter Fiery Fury for her to stun and kill you. Now, here in Mudflats is one of the hardest things of the game, and I've changed my strategy of how I would approach this on a witch, and probably on most characters. So I think what will be important, and you can use this strategy for coast as well, and hopefully most characters have access to something like this, is to off-screen it entirely. Duelists won't really have access to this. Well, you can actually use split arrow, and that's probably what I would recommend for this. But if you're, well, like any sort of bow build, use split arrow, or ice shot would also be really nice, because then you're slowing things down by either ice or split arrow. For casters, rolling magma is insane. It is so good. You can very easily off-screen things. And putting your Path of Exile into widescreen mode, so putting it in windowed and minimizing the screen, like, or shrinking the screen a little bit, will make you see way further, and you can off-screen way much. But we'll see here, like, this is a very, very scary zone. I used cold skills so that, like, you know, they would be slower and less dangerous, and that helped a lot. But rolling magma seems to be the play here, and just off-screening way more. you got to be very, very careful that like you'll see them charge, like sort of like prepare to charge you and then charge you, and they're very fast. You have very, very little time. And this entire zone is hell. And honestly, a lot of people will feel like giving up here, because if it's this hard this early, surely it gets harder and harder. It's actually the other way around. It gets easier and easier, and it will always be hard. But if you can get to Submerged, you're already at like such a good spot, because there we have a farming spot. So we'll scroll through a little bit further here until I'm fighting more monsters. And you can see that I'm being very incredibly careful, trying to kill things from far away, trying to make sure that I'm ready to like move very quickly, and paying attention to like, you'll see this thing that will probably get ready to charge me here soon. So like they're just very scary. They'll charge very quickly. And then next up, we can continue going forward here. And, you know, obviously I do get, I do end up getting everything here, and we go to Submerged Passage. And you want to do Hailrake. A lot of people do Hailrake before going to Mudflats entirely. That's entirely preference, I guess. But it is really nice to get those support gems for Mudflats, like Volley, for example. And also having a Quicksilver is really good. So we can go look at Hailrake real quick. We'll skip forward in the VOD a little bit. So we can go look at Hailrake, and here we have him. You can see here that I'm like actually not trying to strafe. I'm actually kiting straight away from him. His Glacial Cascade can't hit you as long as you're moving like this. Whereas if you're sidestepping, they do not try to predict where you're going now. You can see that when I move here now. See that it goes like ahead. So you would have to keep zigzagging sort of if you want to be close to him. It's a lot harder now. So another thing that I really like doing is I wanted Onslaught for my Witch, and I also want Decoy Totems. So I actually make a Ranger character. I kill Hailrake on this, and I do Mudflats just to get those two things. Decoy is absolutely massive, and so is Onslaught, obviously. So Muling is really, really good if you need the gems that you can't get. So now we are going back to Submerged, and this is so good. So here we can see that I am going to do the League mechanic. And this might seem really, really crazy, because obviously the League mechanic is going to be deadly, right? It's actually generally a lot weaker than the zones. You do have to be careful with what you do and how you approach it. And I end up dying to these water elemental things, because I was like, they aren't that hard, right? The Sand Spitters is the most dangerous thing here, then the water elementals. Also, avoid killing this unique monster in the start. I was just testing it, but it was not worth it. Once you've done 2 or 3 runs in Submerged Passage, you'll get a crazy amount of damage, and we'll show you a little bit how. So here we can see the only death this character had for a very long time. It was just being sloppy with the water elementals. I just didn't think they had much damage, but 5 of them they do. And I could have logged there. So here we're getting to the League mechanic, and you can see that I obviously want to clear out the area around it. I don't want like anything else. And with this build that I'm playing, I can obviously pre-trap quite a lot, which I end up starting to do later, like putting traps down before the fight starts, so I get to just blast one area. So here I'm like looking at the different things. I'm really looking for artifacts. Rare weapons is pretty nice, and uniques would be huge. I'm also like kind of scared of doing the skulls, but the skulls is what we really, really get a lot of rewards from. So I'm focusing very hard on opening skulls for getting a large amount of artifacts. I'm trying to hit as much as possible. Now, especially the first few levels, there will be rows spawnings and stuff, and the rows are incredibly dangerous. You want to have something you can hide behind and try to, well, you can see that I'm playing very defensively here. And they aren't that dangerous as soon as you get the roas down. You can see most of the zombies here are just shambling towards you, and this sort of gives you a bit of an understanding. Now, early on, you only have Gwenin, and the number one thing I was trying to gamble for was the 1,000 ribbons. 1,000 ribbons makes a very, very big difference early on, because it's so much flat elemental damage. I didn't manage to get one. I was very unlucky. And you also have a chance to get a Tabula, which wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't use that early. I wouldn't use that until probably like level 24, 38, maybe on most characters, because you don't want to risk dying with one. And it's very, very good once you get to max. And you might have mana issues. But yeah, you can see very, very defensive here. Gambling for ones isn't bad. And obviously later when we get Tuyen and Rog, there's some really good tricks for those as well. But yeah, I'm basically gambling for like any decent wand, 1,000 ribbons, and you get a large amount of rares for alterations and things like that. So you very quickly gear up in power here. And do make sure that you check your vendors fairly often while leveling if you are playing a spell build like me, because you want to get things like +1 lightning spell gems, which you can very frequently get from the vendor. And here I very quickly got some decent upgrades that I was able to just, clear very fast with. Now, I actually end up grinding here for a very long time, something like 20-25 minutes, and I get level 10. And I would recommend, if you're very new to the Gauntlet, getting as much as level 12 in Submerged will give you a really, really big boost, because you just have so much damage for Brutus, and your decoy will be very tanky and stuff. So the number one thing that you really need to know about the Gauntlet is it's a huge mindset challenge. You're no longer playing Path of Exile. You're playing Gauntlet. It's incredibly hard. Everything can kill you. But there are so many players that love playing this that are normally softcore players. And they have a completely different approach where they will overlevel by as much as 10 levels over the zone to be safe. And that's a very good approach. Now, we can take a quick look at Ledge, because Ledge is very, very strong. Here you can see I'm going in with 300 life already. I'm not 100% sure what level I am here. I think I am level 10. But you see the damage is incredibly good. Incredibly good damage. I'm using Orb Storms with Onslaught and Arcane Surge. Or no, Elemental Prolif, I think, early. And I'm trying to be really, really careful still. Even though I am obviously way overloaded for the zone, I'm still playing very carefully, because we don't have elemental res cap yet. So still a lot of things can kill us. We can skip forward a little bit, and here is where I discovered the rolling magma, and I was like, this sounds like a great idea. And it was really good. As you can see, I'm able to get much more range from the monsters. I had completely forgotten about volley at this point, but in the Gauntlet I will be doing rolling magma with volley for the first, definitely until lower prison. Once I get lower prison and I have some better gear, and I'll be able to craft resist on my gear, I won't mind as much being in the middle of the enemies, because I can res cap as soon as I get level 12 or something like that, and that'll be fine. But until then, yeah. Another thing that's really, really important when you're playing like this is obviously better to clear looking up than looking down. So some zones that are in a one direction kind of thing, it can be good to reset until you get a direction where you aren't forced to go downwards. Here we're in the climb, and you can see same thing here. I'm just being very, very careful, trying to stay away from goats. Goats are going to kill a lot of the people watching. You are going to die to goats in this. They will leap on you, and if you aren't reacting, you're gone. 2 goats and you're dead. And I'm with 300 HP and 30 energy shield, and getting a decent amount of energy shield on your gear will be really, really good. We can take a quick look at Brutus and stuff, and I do want to go through most of the dangerous things. I really want to make sure this video covers most of the scary shit in Act 1 and 2. It is very, very hard. Brutus, as you can see, is going to be very easy because I have Decoy Totem. So it's a very, very clean Brutus kill, I would say. And even when he hits me, it doesn't do that much damage. He's not too bad. He's an okay Brutus. You see there, I actually get hit. Now, normally we would have minus 40% resist, but we did do minus 20 just to make it slightly easier in the start and stuff. So, pretty clean Brutus kill. Kind of gives you some idea what to do it with decoy. Use your movement ability a lot. Merveil, pretty hard as well, and we can take a quick look at that. Coming up on Merveil here, and you can see I have a lot of damage. At this point, I have done the vendor recipe for making wands. So that would be a blue wand, 1 alteration, and then a lightning, ruby, or lightning, fire, or cold resist ring. So lightning for lightning damage, right? I think it's level 8 for the white one, 14 for blue, and 20 for rare ring. So yeah, you can use a white, blue, or a yellow ring, and it'll be different power levels of the flat added lightning, cold, or fire damage you get. Definitely would recommend getting the 14 ring before Merveil would make the fight very easy. Very, very easy. And I'm cold rest capped here. I have 75 cold rests, I believe, or very close to it. So you can see I'm not actually getting one shot. A lot of people that fail this fight go in with 30 or 20 cold res. Gotta remember, for 1 transmute, which is incredibly easy to get this league because the league mechanic, transmutes are very, very easy to get a large amount of. You can craft resist on white items even. That's something a lot of people forget. A lot of people think that they have to be blue or rare to be able to craft on, but my rings are both completely white and just have crafted cold rest on them. So with 2 cold rings, crafted cold rest on each, you're already rest capped just from that. So pretty damn good. And you can see it's a very smooth kill as well. The most scary things is all her minions, especially the skeletons in stage 1. Very, very scary, but a pretty smooth kill nonetheless. Next up is Weaver, and this was not a very smooth kill. I actually panic a lot, and I think that's good because I think a lot of people will panic on this boss. But the important thing is that I keep the smoke cloud on the Weaver, and I take a lot less damage. I just fucked up with not killing enough monsters here, and I probably should have had level 20 and crafted rare rings. So I would recommend at least level 20 before Weaver with crafted rare ones, I mean, with the, you know, the rare rings for the highest damage. Then the ads would die very quickly and I wouldn't have had this problem of Weaver plus that many ads. You can see, because of the smoke mine and stuff, she doesn't hit me as much and a lot less chance of getting that one shot. I also can see that I'm trying to stay in melee range. Most people die by trying to stay far away and dodging everything, and then she ends up doing the like AoE overlap ball lob attack and you're gone. So pretty doable to do Weaver with Smoke Mine. Would recommend that for every class. Other than that, actually pretty straightforward. Obviously Fidelity and stuff can be a little annoying. Over leveling in Southern Forest, really, really good. And I think, do we have Rug already? I can't remember exactly when you get Rug. As soon as you get Rog though, which I do think is already in Act 2, you should have Tui and Rog and Glennon pretty early. Once you get Rog, he will also appear on new characters. And there's actually a really fucking great trick here once you've started farming Act 2. And that is that you don't need to reset Rog. You just keep making new characters, and very often Rog will sell you fire dot multiplier, cold dot multiplier, chaos dot multiplier, if you are one of those, or it will very frequently sell things that are +1 gem levels. And I'm not talking about actually rolling the items. I'm talking about literally just making a new character. So like a ranger is very easy to kill Hillock on, and then killing Hillock, and then checking the vendor, and boom, there is a +1 fire or a +1 cold. So I think most people generally make less than 15 characters. And yeah, like another good thing is that Gwennon will give you free rerolls to try to buy 1,000 ribbons, and buying the ones from Gwennon as well on new characters is really, really good to try that, to try to get a +1 gem level and stuff. Yeah, I would recommend like 10 to 15 characters, hopefully getting at least one wand with whatever you need, like +1 fire, +1 cold, +1 lightning. You don't know what skill you're going to level with. So for me, that would be, I want +1 fire for my further skills and +1 lightning early. So it's like double win here. I would save regals for the +1 fire for my build, because, you know, I don't care that much about the early stuff, and I want to make sure the fire stuff is really, really good. Here we have Wild Oversoul. Very, very dangerous. And after this, I would say it gets very easy. Because you can overlevel a lot in Zizaran. The monsters here are very scary, and I didn't have enough damage. I hadn't cared enough about my ones. And I also hadn't overleveled enough. I think I'm zone level. Whereas I would recommend most people trying to get something like 28 to 30 if you are a new player and you really want to do well in the Gauntlet. There you can see Valor Soul, pretty scary. Decoy Totem is very, very big here, because if Valor Soul starts zapping you, it'll zap the totem. So that's nice. So I always try to make sure that the totem is up. And I don't think he actually does start zapping here. But yeah, it's very, very tanky with the 40% life as well, so the fight takes a long time. And that is Act 1 and Act 2. I will be making like a very, very like generic video with tips and tricks. And I will also be making a build specific video. But I hope you guys are excited for the Gauntlet. Thank you so much to everybody that has been buying merch. It's very, very cool to see all the support. Over 200 sold so far. So thank you guys so much. Hope you guys enjoyed the videos, and I hope you guys are really excited for the Gauntlet. Thanks for everything. Some of you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.